All right, welcome everyone to another very memorable game of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. So, folks, I am really excited to bring you this game. I know I say this every time, but this game really was something else. So, let's get right into it. So this game is actually happening on the Black Sea map, which is a new map that we've been trying out. We've played on it before, but not too much overall. I gotta say, I really like it. It's got a nice balance. It's kind of like a Baltic Sea style map. You have more or less Team North on the northern side of the map, and then Team South on the southern side. And kind of like the Baltic map, there's a small entrance here on the left side. This is actually the Bosporus. So a connection here between Turkey and Greece, which doesn't quite exist in real life, but here we have a small entrance, and on the other side we have just a very narrow passage connecting these bases, as well as here. Now, it's not a perfect map, but I do like what they did with it. So hats off to the creators of the map and the game, of course. So they have this really large forest here. I think this kind of represents the mountains, making this area here a bit isolated. This is Georgia on the real world map, and then we also have, of course, Turkey in the south. This would be Greece here, Bulgaria. You've got everything from Moldova, Ukraine, Russia. This whole Black Sea area is on the map, so that's really great. So on this particular game, we had Team South, which was teal. This is myself playing here. We had yellow playing Portuguese. I'm Spanish. We have green playing Vikings, and then blue playing Malians. And then Team North is you have orange playing Aztecs, red playing Malay, gray playing Huns, and purple playing Byzantines. So I would say about 80% of these civs are actually appropriate for the map. Byzantines, Spanish, Portuguese, Vikings, Huns all seem pretty appropriate, but not sure about Malay and Aztecs. But the rest pretty good placement. All right, so I'm actually going to be a little bit careful with this replay because there was recently a patch, and I'm a little bit worried that by speeding up too much, I may end up jinxing it. So it may be a little bit of a long recording. It's just the game was not too much decided by fish. The map has a relatively small amount of fish on it. There are other real-world maps that have way more, and so this is kind of a nice balancing aspect. The fish is not overdone, which is nice. The map also has, I find, a lot of gold and stone clumps. It really is. Seems like every screen there's another batch. It almost feels like Nomad in that sense. There's just a lot of resources, which is great. Not too many annoying elevations. You have some here, but not too many annoying ones. One thing that I like as well is that the map is relatively balanced. So you have here the Sea of Marmara, which is kind of a separated lake. So a player could technically use this to have some protected fishing traps. You can technically sail over this little land bridge here, but here is, of course, the Sea of Azov, which also is a little bit of a secluded area that someone could use for fish traps. You'll see there are a lot of relics, and that actually comes in later, which is pretty funny. You see a lot of relics here on the shoreline. Who knows if there's a player who takes advantage of that and steals relics from the other team. We'll just have to go see how that turns out. All right, so I'm going to take the risk here and speed this up a little bit. Hopefully it does not crash on me. I will mention that, just full disclaimer, this game is, of course, a non-competitive game. So I think you have a couple players who have around 1100 or 1000 ELO. I think there was one player, I think it was Yellow, who had around 1300 ELO, but the other players were were just kind of, obviously not professional level players at all. But it can be really great when players of different skill level meet each other, and that's, I think, what happened in this game. All right, so we have our opening salvos here, I think, any moment. Yellow about to build his first warship, and then we will have our first kind of military engagement. Here we go. So just at the early phases here, you've got the team starting to build warships. I think we have something similar going on up here. Team South beginning to wall off the connection here, the Bosporus. And the other team is also walling off. Now, one thing that was too bad on this map is that purple, I think I showed this earlier, is actually on Team North and blue is on Team South. There's a little bit of an inversion here. I'm not sure why that is. I really wish blue would be positioned here and purple up there, but that's how it is. You know, I guess it gives the game some character, but not the best placement for those two players, but otherwise really great placement. Generally, it's North versus South. So whenever you have a game like this, it's something you don't have the awareness at the time necessarily. With hindsight, though, you can see all kinds of things you wish you had kind of thought of at the time. This is actually interesting. Purple, really early on, feudal age, sends some villagers. He sees he's isolated and he drops them here. 2 villagers. So that is great. So I was going to say that a team really has to look at the kind of bigger strategic value of where to rush, where to attack. And I think that Team North recognized much better than Team South that they have a player who's exposed here. And so it's important to basically help the player who's exposed. Team South, we didn't quite have that same idea. It wasn't really in our thought process. So it really would have been ideal if we had attacked purple first. But for whatever reason, we go for gray. He seems closer. Yellow and we think he's closer. We go for gray. But it really would have made much more sense to go for purple. At the time when I played this, I did not think of this at all. But you need to, these basic bigger picture kind of perspectives can have a huge impact on the game. So we'll see how that plays out later on. All right, so a little bit of a naval fight going on here. Red fighting 2 players, essentially. And we have some reinforcements that may or may not arrive. All right, so let's speed it up again. Yellow is now in Castle Age and has upgraded fire ships. Orange comes to the help, and we have a more or less even fight here. I guess I escaped with my 3 galleys. And let's see here. Any moment now, Gray is actually going to drop some cavalry archers and does a great job of raiding Team South. Here they are. Very clever move. And we have a raider. So this got me completely by left field. I did not see this at all. And had no military units at all. And right off the bat, we're being raided on land. I really have no military units. So this was quite a shock. This is actually really appropriate. He's Huns, and he is raiding us. So we do a little bit of damage, but he makes a run for it. Meanwhile, yellow drops up here and is castle dropping. So this is pretty interesting. He divides gray and red. So red has to go through yellow to help gray. I don't think gray was really prepared for that. And we'll see how that plays out. Meanwhile, blue and purple are holding out. Purple has established a new base way up in the corner here. Really great move. He actually had the perspective to know that if this base falls, which is a very small area, then then he has a backup plan. So we kind of missed it, but with these ships, I sunk the transport. And so these, he managed to get the troops out of the transport in time, sunk the transport, and he has no choice now than to keep raiding us. All right, so yellow is causing havoc over here. And if we go to gray's perspective, this is what he sees. And of course, this is not looking good. He has not managed to drop a castle himself. Tries his best to stop this, but unfortunately, I think he loses most of his units. And yellow does manage to get the castle up. So gray is in a rough spot. He is dropping his own castle here, but actually taking heavy losses. Meanwhile, gray is actually continuing to raid yellow. So that's interesting. Yellow is raiding gray, gray is raiding yellow. We'll see how that pans out though. Just a couple of cavalry archers left here. Red is coming for to pay us back for our raid earlier. It's just a little minor engagement here. Not sure why this guy isn't doing anything. Here we go. So I see Red's ships coming in, and I decide to send them on a little bit of an adventure, and they are going now to raid Red's fishing line. So Team North now controls the seas. Yellow, Team South had basically made a decision though to kind of give up the water when we realized there weren't that many fish. We more or less decided to just give up, and we didn't think it was worth fighting on the water. I think that made sense actually overall, because overcommitting on the water can be a real disadvantage. Alright, so gray continues to be in a rough spot. However, he is fighting back. Meanwhile, red is building up here. So actually, the colors aren't lined up, so I had to go figure these out before the game, make sure I had them figured out. So this is... Okay, so I raided red here, and he sends his ships away. So he is getting ready to help out his ally. So gray has succeeded in taking down that castle, so he's still kicking. Now yellow is complaining that he is fighting on his own up here. And so this is kind of what I mean. From a strategic perspective, I thought, okay, I need to help my ally, I need to help him out in his attack. But this is really tricky. I now need to cross over this slim land bridge, and this is very exposed to water attacks. So sending my troops over here is really hard. It might have been easier to attack purple instead of gray. But for whatever reason, I see yellow has already committed here, so I decide to help yellow there. Meanwhile, blue has, I missed it, sorry. He did do a little raid with knights against orange. Kept orange distracted. Orange is the strongest team of Team North right now. In fact, he's the strongest player in the game. However, blue's doing a decent job of distracting him away from this fight. Alright, so yellow is in action, taking down gray's castle, but red has now entered the fray and is putting a lot of pressure on yellow. Meanwhile, I'm trying to send villagers across this land bridge, but as I was mentioning, orange has placed his fleet there, and so all I got is a couple of villagers made it through, I think, but not many. So it's really difficult for me to support yellow actually here, just because of strategic, just because of the this vulnerability. Meanwhile, purple is beginning to build up, and let's see what he does with that. So right now, Team North is definitely ahead in the points. However, Green's Team South is not far behind. So a really tiny trash army there. I really am desperately trying to... All I have is 2 villagers, and that's all I got to help out yellow. Yellow is holding on by himself. Red and yellow having a real duel over here. And same thing here. So blue is fighting orange. Great drop. But he's not able to produce many units here. He's very pinned in. Meanwhile, orange, of course, has all the space in the world to prepare to take this out. Meanwhile, purple is building up in the south. So let me go check what color purple is. So purple is orange. So there he is. Alright, so yellow definitely holding his own. Finally, I'm dropping some stables. Very belated assistance here. Gray is, you know, he's in a weak spot for sure, but still kicking. Let's see how much score he has. 136 supply, not bad. He has enough to drop 2 castles, so maybe he could have done that, but he is, you know. Is that really? That's interesting. No, that's not him. Oh, interesting. Wrong color. Okay, I guess the color switched on me again. That's funny. Alright, so let's see if I can switch to yellow now. Okay, so I think the colors switched back. So actually red is associated with red. So red is on the move. And yellow is kind of losing this duel for now, doing his best to effectively destroy gray while he's being destroyed himself by red. So a really interesting situation there. 11 cannons. However, I'm finally sending some reinforcements, but they're just trickling in. It's not a very fast stream. And I am desperately trying to help out yellow in keeping his attack base alive here, but I'm pretty much way too late for it. Alright, taking out a couple of cannons, not bad. Pretty tiny army overall. So yellow's starting to say no, back up. He recognizes that this is not working. And so at this point in time, I really think Team South should have... Whoop, I kind of missed this. So here we go. Orange taking out blue's drop and making more or less short work of this. He's got a couple of Geptos here. Amazing units. But unfortunately, he's only got 9. That's not going to cut it there. So right now, I really think Team South should have recognized this is a lost cause. Get out of there. For whatever reason, now that I have some villages here, I think why not see what I can do. But this is kind of a lost commitment, and I don't really know why I did this. But I guess the thought process was, you know, maybe I can finish off gray. Not sure. However, red is now coming down in force. Alright, here we go. Purple's army is beginning to march north. Very slowly, but they found a way through the mountains, through the forest. Unfortunately, blue did not have a wall there. And here we go. So unfortunately, gray is still in the game here. Let's just see what his stats is. I was trying to check that earlier. Okay, there it is. 32 villagers. But, you know, still kicking. Meanwhile, blue, though, is about to get hit from the back, which is really unfortunate because his base is gone here, his landing is gone, and now he's being overrun here. He only has a couple of units, so this is really rough. I don't think he saw this coming. So wisely, purple hit the vulnerable player. The map must have been very new for blue, for most players, and he is being attacked. So here I am complaining. I ask blue, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you say that you're being attacked? Maybe I could have sent help. Unfortunately, not much help close by. Alright, so this is really hilarious. Orange drops these monks and is just stealing relics off the coast. It really is genius. I think he's already taken a couple. Alright, so here we are. Orange is now getting onto transports. Really solid position, strongest player in the game. Oops. And he is... Oh, he lost his exit boat. He is now coming down to make a landing on the southern continent. Now this is quite interesting. He has a fleet here. But look at this. Green has a fleet here. Green has been building a fleet. So, what happens now? Here we have a landing force. Can they get past Team South's fleet? Well, we'll see. Meanwhile, I had the brainwave to try to raid Team North by just running in. Red did the obvious thing and walled off. Good move. I cannot get in, so this raiding force is stuck. So here we have a fight. Now this is hilarious. Look at this. Ships full of units. The fleet sees them. But can they sink them? And these units do land. Just barely. Of course, the transports sink right after landing, but unfortunately these are siege onagers and they do a hell of a lot of damage. Okay, he's taking out some of them. My raid is not going well. I do have the paladin upgrade, not too many other upgrades though. So this really is a total waste. I totally overcommit here, I think. And I kind of knew it at the time. I wasn't really sure why I was overcommitting, but there it is. And I raid Gray and try to take out as many of these cannons in the process. Meanwhile though, Orange is dropping castles, dropping everything else, and Team South is suddenly fighting an invasion. Green uses his fleet though, and this is what I love about this game. It's just there's a lot of back and forth. So Green does use his fleet and disables the entire fishing here. And it's not the only fishing he will raid. However, Green is in trouble. He does not have a huge army at the moment. And he has been caught in an awkward position. It's also awkward for the team because this is where the markets are, so our trade is passing straight through. So this is nice. I do manage to take down that castle. These trebuchets did something. That's good. But this was just the total overcommitment. I don't think much else comes from this. Red, as Malay, is building a massive elephant army. So now I'm telling the team, focus here. This is quickly becoming an extremely dangerous situation here. Blue is trying to hold out in the mountains here, but does not have much left. Tiny base up here, but some transports. Who knows? Can he escape? Alright, so let's go back to Orange. So, doing a lot of damage to Green, although taking also a lot of damage down here. Now this is nice. What Green is doing here is nice. I actually did not see this during the game at all. But I would say Team South is definitely in the rougher spot right now. We're behind in the score. We've got Eagle Warriors, fully upgraded Eagle Warriors, Aztec Eagle Warriors running all over our continent. And they are raiding us. And this is quickly becoming a very desperate situation for us. However, Green doesn't let it discourage him and continues to raid. And now we have Purple taking over this northern base, increasing his economy. Alright, so Red has more or less destroyed this landing, dropping markets. They're getting their trade ready. And the game looks like it could end right here. To be honest, it looks like it could end right here. I mean, if we can't stop Orange, that's it. We're done. Now, I do eventually, if I'm not mistaken, After committing way too much over here, I finally get my act together and I am producing units on our own continent. But it ain't pretty. We've got Aztec infantry up against spearmen. Ooh, that's ugly. But green is rallying, creating Viking infantry and ready to fight back. Green also cleared the fleet that was here, allowing yellow to build a very strong, I guess you could call it a bulwark, bastion foothold here on the northern continent, and makes quite a nice defense here. So I just say to my allies, I will drop a wonder. To me, this is not looking good. Blue, as far as I know, is out of action. We are being raided pretty hard on our continent. It looks like orange has just, it almost seems like he had knocked out green. We just lost our advanced base here. Red is about to come at us. It's not looking good. I decide we have to build a wonder. So let's see how this goes from here. Yellow making a heroic defense here, taking out these elephants. And holds the line. But red has plenty of more resources coming. So this is pretty terrible. Aztec pikes against paladins, absolutely gruesome. I love that this monk is still holding that relic. So we are really struggling here on the continent, trying to retake it. Try to push orange off our continent. If we can't even hold our own continent, then that's pretty much game, isn't it? Meanwhile, Team North is getting the trade line rolling. They are beginning to trade like mad. You can see that orange is at 22k points. But green is still raiding, and Team North has actually lost the sea. Just gonna go do a little round here, see how everyone's doing. Okay, so green definitely suffering, does not have food. But he is rebounding. Meanwhile, yellow and red back at it. Now, I don't really understand this. Why did red send just a couple of elephants at a time? He must have been... yellow must have poked them and gotten a small group together. Look at this. Gray is building a lot of monks. Now, this is absolutely brilliant. Probably one of the best moments in the game. And I missed it while playing it. I was totally distracted by the fight down here. Green is taking out red's food. Now, I do think he has a nice bank. Almost maxed out, but this is brutal, you know. Green discovers the trade line, and that's one real vulnerability of Team North. This is a tricky trade line. They have to hack through here to make the trade line further away from the water, but it's not easy to do. Alright, so the wonder is up. The wonder has been built. There is now a timer. 400 years. Can we hold? So this is where red sends his entire force. This is just absolutely monstrous. Look at all these elephants. That's over 60 elephants, maybe 90 elephants. How many is that? Almost 100 elephants. But at the same time, green has found red's trade. And so their trade line is hurting. Meanwhile, we got our act together here, and we are slowly pushing orange off our continent. Green has been seriously hurt, but is holding his own. Blue has escaped, and I am now destroying what's left of orange's landing. Not this army definitely has a lot to be desired, but we are pushing them off. And this is ugly, you know. This trade line, this is beginning to look really damaging. Green is just like a true Viking causing havoc on the coastline. which is actually pretty appropriate for the Black Sea historically. He even brought some cannon galleons, and so he is going to take out this castle as well as another one. He is in good. He's doing huge favors for the team. I honestly, like, he was kind of feeling beaten up there a little bit by the landing, but frankly, this has so much value for the team. I think this probably has more value than most other things, more than my contribution, I think. So red has destroyed yellow's advanced base here, and we have a rare moment now. Here we are. Orange's last castle is going down. However, red is building a fleet now. He has dropped harbors here in Crimea. He is building a fleet. And let's see if green is able to hold out. So this really is amazing. Look how red's gold has gone down. Look how orange's gold is much, not as high as it would have been. However, he did get his relics back. Alright, so it is now, I'm just going to pause it quickly. We're at 350 years. So, the last of Orange's castles has now been taken out. Team South has, for all intents and purposes, reclaimed its continent. We're walled off. We've got walled off there. We're walled off here for now. We have a small moment, the calm before the storm, you know. Can we hold this wonder for the next 345 years? You know, this is the calm before the storm. Can we do it? Now, I didn't mention this yet, but this game felt really sloppy at times. You know, our vision is not perfect. We don't even have complete vision of the coastline. We're not watching the coastline completely. Pretty good vision, pretty good, but it's not perfect. We know that this is where we're exposed. And so the question is, can we stop all the different vectors that they will come at this wonder? They will come from here. Orange has already landed here. Will they land again? We'll see. Purple took out blue. What's purple gonna do? Let's see. So, a little bit of a... that's my little cliffhanger for today. Anyway, so let's see how this ends. Green is still kicking. Does an amazing job of taking down this castle. So, however, these fire ships show up now, and unfortunately this may or may not be the end of this raid. Gray is rebounding and is back in action. So this, I actually had to do a little bit of diplomacy within my team. Yellow was complaining that he's like, are we really going to try to win with a wonder? Like, that's not honorable, you know? Like, he didn't quite say that. He said it's boring, but I said, oh, it's almost over. Come on, man. Like, I know the players. I know who's playing. I know who we're dealing with. I know that our best chance right now is to win with a wonder. I say I can delete near the end if you want. Try to keep him in the game. And thankfully, yellow agrees to that. All right, so Team North is now retaking the water. However, green is rebounding on land. He is building with 6 town centers. Amazing, actually. 6 town centers. He's building villagers. We are beginning to trade. And we are dropping the walls all over the place in anticipation of a massive invasion of elephants. Unfortunately, this wall does not get finished in time, but this one does. This wall also doesn't get finished. There's a gap here in that wall, but we have a lot of other walls. We're dropping cannon towers. Let's see if we can hold. All right, so here we go. This is it. The next stage of the game. Now, one thing I really would like to see is how does Orange approach this? So I'm just going at normal speed here. This is the best part of the game, so we don't want to miss this. Now, I will mention right now, before the action begins, I'll pause it quickly. Gray is Huns. One of the Huns' unique abilities is atheism, which adds 100 years to the countdown. So we're at 300 years now. However, Huns can add another 100. That actually has a huge impact in a game like this. So let's see how that plays out. All right, so the opening salvo comes from red. And let's just see. This is what he sees. He's maxed out. But, you know, his gold has suffered. This is what he sees. He's got almost 100 elephants. And we get the wall up just in time. Welcome to Turkey. So he decides to turn back here and realizes he has to take this with siege. Some of these elephants stay behind. And we do take those down. However, he's got plenty left over. He backs off wisely and prepares with siege. Meanwhile, Gray is also in action, coming to getting stronger and stronger. Alright, here it is. Another landing from Orange. However, I conveniently still had my trebuchets right there from the last time he landed here. And so I do destroy this, and he cancels, and he takes these, I think it's just 8 villagers, and he drops those. Now, unfortunately, I made a bit of a dumb move here. Oh, I'm going to pause it. There's so much happening. So, what happened here? I missed it almost. Purple used his onagers and Black Forest style made a path through the mountains and is now ransacking, unfortunately, Green's base from behind. Green has largely recovered. But he's still suffering a bit. He's still suffering for sure from having been raided by Orange earlier in the game. And now, on top of that, Purple comes through the mountain. So this is rough. So let's see if we can capture all this. Purple is breaking through. Orange is building up his base up here. And we see it, but do we stop it? We'll see. Now, I made a pretty clumsy move here. For whatever reason, I decided to charge in. I figured, okay, I've got maxed out units. Might as well attack and use the units, cause as much damage as I can. However, this is not the way you should fight elephants. I'm not sure I want to see the end of that. So, Orange is now dropping up here. Purple is striking through here. So we see it. Now this is absolutely scary. And for whatever reason, unfortunately, I don't really see this fast enough. And especially these trebuchets do not see this fast enough. Meanwhile, my beautiful hand cannoneer army dies a terrible death. I wasn't paying attention and they fall. Yellow, much smarter, stays behind the wall. And we have built all kinds of hand cannons. So Green does engage the invaders, but this is tough for him. Purple has had a lot of time to build up since he destroyed Blue. So this is rough. So we're now being hit by, on 3 sides. Red is pushing from the top. Yellow doing an amazing job of defending there. And I very belatedly realized how quickly this is happening. Orange is just going crazy, dropping every single thing you can imagine. In fact, this gets absolutely bonkers eventually. I think he comes to like 20 trebuchets. Meanwhile, this fight is not going so well for us. And our trade line. We really should have deleted this market. That's okay. So, Team South, it's not looking good. And if you notice, suddenly the years have gone up. We were at 300 before, but now we're back 335. What happened? Well, that was atheism. So, not only are we being attacked by 3 sides, we now have more, we have to hold out for longer. Thankfully, we do have castles all over the place. Alright, so I send most of my forces over to the east and try my best to help out Green. I actually think, though, that this was the more urgent issue. Orange is the strongest player in the game, and he is absolutely crazy in this situation, and we need to fight him off. So yellow doing a really great job of just holding the line. You know, we haven't retreated here. We're essentially taking out everything that comes at us. However, gray is getting stronger and stronger. Ooh, that's nasty. So this was moderately successful, I would say, overall. We do push back purple, giving green a little bit of breathing room. But this is getting very dangerous. Yellow's economy is hurting, and yellow is increasingly distracted and needs to fight here. And I don't know if you're seeing this, but if you look at just the numbers. Okay, finally I've sent in my trebuchets. They are finally helping out. However, they definitely came late, and he has dropped all kinds of units now. Now, if we just look at this, how many is that? 14. 24 siege units. That is a lot of trebuchets. That is absolutely a lot of trebuchets. I had the right idea here. I was repairing the trebs, but there was so much happening, and I must have just forgotten about these guys. I don't know if I used them again. Okay, we've kind of stopped purple a little bit, but we have got Eagle Warriors running through our base. And they are beelining for the Wonder. So this is just getting really bad. Thankfully, reinforcements are sent here, and we managed to take out most of these trebuchets. Of course, really late after losing all kinds of Victorias and everything else. Purple is on the move again, and so is red. But yellow decides this is it. We need to prioritize. This is really the most dangerous thing here. I asked for a new market. We really need to deal with the situation. Orange, a player like Orange, you can't take chances. Meanwhile, gray is definitely in action now, and bulldozing his way through the southern part, sneakily coming through here. However, I'm still maxed out. Now this is actually a pretty good moment here. We got 3 players, all of us in action. Green has managed to rebuild, and we are giving Orange a run for his money. Don't have a lot of siege left, unfortunately. I think I lost my trebs. There they are, they're gone. But we are trying to push Orange off our shores. However, this is the new emergency. So I kind of liked that red was attacking this, because frankly I didn't think this was a very important front. I think this was the more dangerous one, but who knows. Frankly, if you're attacking, it's always good to attack from different directions, and so that's a good thing for Team North. Alright. Orange has snuck through and is hitting the Wonder directly. Can he destroy it? Is this how it goes down? We'll see. Orange has retreated, and he has, what, 6 left? I mean, he was at, what, 20 earlier, so that's, I guess, some progress for Team South. He lost a number of castles. Situation, we've temporarily pushed him back for now. But green is hurting badly. Most of our focus though is now here. Yellow using these amazing organ cannons, organ guns, and we put a stop to this attack. Nice, it was a really brilliant effort from gray, but we did get it. Even green even helps out. But red is getting stronger and stronger. More and more reinforcements are arriving. It is a constant stream. And guess what? Orange hasn't been pushed off. He is still here. Still kicking and still building units. So we did not succeed in pushing him off the shore like we did last time. We did damage, but orange is still here. So you see, this is looking tough. Purple is now making progress further and further west. Red has been temporarily slowed down, but definitely still in play here. And we will see how red blasts his way through all these walls. Kind of a desperate fight. I love how yellow is keeping his force of organ guns alive. Now, one thing that I really liked is yellow, he's got all these Victorias, and this is exactly what an ally should do. He keeps sending his extra food to me because he doesn't use it. You know, he doesn't need it. Absolutely brilliant. Exactly what an ally should do. Honestly, I think that's such a good move. So this is a really frustrating moment. I'm just going to slow it down briefly. I have a lot of cavalry units here, all over the place. How many do I have here? All kinds. 95 cavalry units. And there are orange's trebs. But of course, I do see it. So if I was paying attention, I don't know what I was looking at right now, but if I was paying attention, this would have been a brilliant moment to take them out. However, I see purple breaking through here, and I guess I, for some reason, thought that was the most urgent situation. I love how yellow also has built a gate in my broken wall. Thank you, yellow. Very kind of you. They are breaking through layer after layer. However, these cannon towers are doing exactly what they're supposed to. One of my last gold sources here. Now, one thing I'll point out really quickly, I'll just pause it here, is that blue actually has started rebuilding. Obviously, doesn't have too much, but he actually does build some units, which help out near the end. So let's see how that plays out. All right, so this starts getting rough. I'll just say this quickly now. You know, we were, obviously Team South was in a panic mode. We needed to defend the Wonder. I missed it earlier, but we did manage to get those Eagle Warriors. We did manage to get them. You can see the Wonder is still damaged. I don't know how they snuck through exactly. But we were, of course, that kind of threw us into a panic. So we start dropping walls all over the place. Green is helpfully putting all kinds of walls here. This is brilliant. But this is always the issue, you know. It's always important to remember to build a couple of gates. I totally get why green didn't really manage to do that with all the stuff happening. But so this is a bit of an annoying situation here. We have a gate, but no gate here. And so my units can no longer get through. It's not just the units getting stopped. It's also my trade carts. Although the trade carts was my fault. I don't know if they're already dead. I think they already died. At some point, I had a cluster of trade carts stuck behind walls. So, moral of the story, always build a couple of gates, always important, so that your basic economy can still function and your units can still get to the front. So I do have a relatively large group of troops here that can no longer advance. And yeah, we'll see how that affects the game. Not too much, but one little thing that happened there in the midst of the chaos. All right, red is finding his way through. We got one more wall here. Lots of idle units, of course. Okay, I start complaining, can't get through. Help me out. So for some reason, I really think this is a strategic mistake. We focused a lot on defeating purple, but I don't think purple was the biggest threat. I honestly think it was orange and red. Definitely, you can see from the score, they're much stronger players. Much more dangerous, much more crafty, I find, overall. I mean, no disrespect to purple, he's super, you know. Actually, I think purple was really the dark horse of the game. He didn't really have an yellow, if I remember correctly, but definitely played as if he had a great yellow. So this is blue. Just a couple of units, but he takes out these trebuchets. Genius. Genius. You know, love it. This is actually brilliant. You know, he was totally down and out. Got his base destroyed, rebuilt here, a couple of Cavaliers, and he is helping out. Love it. You know, you don't need to have 40 units, even just 10 units, you can do all kinds of things. All right, so we managed to pop a hole here, and now we are coming in force against purple. But admittedly, I don't think that was the most important place to hit. It would have been much more useful if I had sent my cavalry to take out these cannons. Let's just see how many cannons Red has. He has 19. That is just a monstrous number here. Now, he still has a ways to go. There goes my relic. There go my relics. He still has a ways to go here, but with these cavalry units, I really should have used them to somehow find a way to ride from the back, ride through here. I really hope there's a way to do it and attack these cannons. I would have had to delete a hole here or something like that. But if I could have hit these cannons from the back, yikes, that would have been a great move. Unfortunately, I am pretty distracted here, not thinking strategically, and I don't really commit too many troops there. Now, I'll just pause it quickly. So we're at 136 years. That's 136 more years that this wonder needs to stand. They are getting pretty close. Can we do it? Well, we'll see. Whatever gold issues they had early in the game, I think they're long gone. Red has a bank of 9,000 gold. Orange has a bank. Well, no, actually, Orange is much more impoverished, actually, but has the highest score. I think Purple also has a relative. No, he doesn't. Only 18 gold. So it's really Red. Red has an amazing bank. Most of them are maxed out. 244, 286. Maxed out Red. And then Gray. Decent, 200 units, 200 supply. Considering he was almost destroyed early in the game, he has rebounded in a big way. So hats off to Gray. Now, Team South, where are we at? Am I still maxed out? I don't think so. No, I'm not. 236 supply. That's how much the situation has deteriorated. I'll check out Yellow quickly here. Still sitting on, only 6 siege units. So he was hit really hard here. The Orange's Aztec Jaguar Warriors, Eagle Warriors, unfortunately hit him. I didn't see it. Should have helped him, but anyway, he has run up here. This is actually his second last castle. He has one more down here, but you can see Yellow is not doing so well, but he still has 6 Feitoras down here, so he's still in action. Still able to build units, still able to send resources. So that is great. I really wish I had seen this market. Thanks, Green. He built the market. I kept spamming, asking for a market. Dang, this relic annoys me. I really wish, there was so much happening. I saw it, but, I couldn't really concentrate on it. All right, and then Green, really rough shape at this point. Still has some units, though, I think. A couple here and there. And then Blue. Rebuilding from scratch, but has 5 cavalry units. There they are. I almost want to name them, but that was brilliant, taking out those trebuchets and keeping the fight alive. So let's see how it goes from here. 136 years. Can we hold? Let's see. I will switch back to teal and just see where the units go. So this is really unfortunate. I just charge in ahead here. Plain view of a castle, throwing away one of my last armies, and we are now desperately dropping walls, but Red does not care. Red has 23 siege units and is now unceremoniously turning walls into mown grass. I think we eventually see this, but we try to react. Both blue and yellow coming down with whatever they have. I just love that. Doesn't matter how much you have, you're trying to help. That's genius. We kept communicating, we kept trying to help each other. I do make a little stand here, but frankly, it's just a sideshow at this point because Red is moving closer and closer to the Wonder, and I think this is the moment I see it. Trying my best to retreat, but it is tough. Orange as well, showing up with, I missed it. We had the same wall we deleted earlier. We really should have built a gate there. That's okay. But Orange saw the hole. We tried to fill the gap right before it, but Orange, of course, sees it, and he sneaks through with a whole bunch of Eagle Warriors. And they are not wasting time. They're beelining for the wonder. All right, so now it's a race. Who can reach the wonder first? Red or orange? And whatever's left of my army is getting wiped out over here. So, as you can see, this is really the death, so to speak, the death rattle of Team South. But I will say I think we fought pretty heroically. Now Yellow is asking for a way through. I don't know exactly what he means. It's frankly, a lot of these walls aren't mine. I can't actually make a hole. There's no way for me to make a hole there. I do delete some wall here, I guess. So I do let my villagers in. Oh, that's good. I didn't see that. And we're trying to throw down walls here, keep them off 90 years. It's not looking good. And orange and red meet in the middle. And here they are, making short work of this wonder. 87 years. Yellow bails out of the game, and that is effectively the end. But what I really liked about this game, everybody was a good sport. Everybody GG'd. I just find it so pretty funny, just the way we did this kind of ridiculous walling off here. Tried really hard to hold the line. So much chaos. We did fight back several times. We did push off Orange's first landing, even a second landing, so to speak. But the third one, it stayed. Look at that, only two castles remaining. So we did take down a number of them, but not enough. I just find it really funny. You see a lot of Black Forest aspects here. Orange finding a way, and that's the thing with this map. Yeah, for sure the map is weird. For sure the map is it's not ideal, so to speak, but I'll just pause it there. But good players, not just good players who have heart, they find a way, they figure things out, whether it's Blue escaping from his tough spot up here, being exposed position. He came down, he stayed in the game, did what he could. Sure, he didn't have, he couldn't build much at that point. His economy had been hit so hard, but stayed in the game. Orange, just genius the way he dropped here. He didn't have any time for these kind of weird side of the map, passageways. He went bold. He landed. Just love the way Green raided the coastline. You had some back and forth on the water. You still see where that the impacts of that Green's raid on Team North. I understand this was like apparently the scariest moment for Team North, just because they. If they didn't have that trade, I think they could have figured a way out to get the trade to go from here. And, if they dropped a market there, or even these ones, between this one and this one, they could have had a trade line that's far enough away from the water to escape the water, to escape the ships. Although, looking at this, maybe they could have still, who knows. But, Team North also found a way to fight off that raid, got their trade rolling again. Respect for Red, who not only stamped out our initial landing here, but, just that Yellow-Red duel that they had here. Yellow made a heroic defense here, and all the way down the line, we kept fighting pretty well, defensively exchanging pretty well with those elephants. Yeah, so just overall, just a really fun game. Purple, he probably could have gone, beeline for the wonder much easier, but he did, I guess he took his time. You see these players, they're all dropping buildings as closer to the front, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. So yeah, just a really nice map, fun game, lots of twists and turns. All right, so let's just look at the stats here quickly. Military, so you see Orange, Aztecs. Now that is a lot of kills. That must have been those raids. But all around, just really solid game. Lots of good performances. Somehow I ended up with the largest army. I think what explains that is this. So you see, I didn't mention this earlier, I don't think. The team really coordinated. They sent me 13,000 resources. That definitely kept me in business much longer than otherwise would have been the case. Lots of food. I don't think you can see what resources were sent, but a lot of it was food, and with that came hussars. Really should have used those hussars to grade the siege, but then I already mentioned that. But there you go. So really great teamwork. Pretty much everyone on the team sent me resources, which is pretty impressive. Great teamwork. Thanks to the team for doing that. And you see Team South also coordinated closely. The one thing that really irks me, though, is look at this terrible trade. Absolutely awful trade. We managed to wall off our own trade. Orange managed to do his drop on the trade line. Absolutely miserable, especially as playing Spanish. That should have been, at least as good as Orange here. But unfortunately, never really took off. And things got so busy and manic and wild at the end that there wasn't really time to do a proper new trade line. Although I did continue building trade cards, and unfortunately they got clogged somewhere. But if you can pull off having a trade line while you're playing defensively, that's obviously what you want to be doing. And society, to be expected. Now this is really great. Yellow, our Portuguese ally, had 14 castles. Now that is impressive. And that, I think, is thanks to those Feitoras. He also had a lot of cannon towers that he was dropping. I dropped a few as well, but not as many as him. Those Feitoras definitely made a difference. But yeah, the map just has so many resources. That's what's great. You can build all kinds of castles. Not overdone, but a lot, which is just enough to make it interesting. Impressive relics. Of course, he stole those from the northern coast of Turkey. Really great move. We didn't quite see it. We saw like the tail end of it, but pretty funny. And yeah, world population really incredible here. We reached 1,600 at the climax. And unfortunately, at the end, of course, it dips. There's the destruction of the Wonder. All kinds of battles. Gray stuck in the game. Got a pretty late Imperial, but he didn't quit. And in fact, it was his atheism upgrade that made all the difference. So the final year count was 87 on the Wonder. But if you subtract 100 years, which is how much the atheism adds, we actually would have been, it would have been 13 years into the win for Team South. I still think that Team North probably would have found a way to win even with 100 years less. They somehow, I feel, they probably would have found a way somehow to win. But technically, Team South would have won because 87 minus 100, it comes out as a extra time for Team South. I think we might, we might have been able to pull it off. Who knows? So anyway, really great contribution to the game, but every player had an amazing contribution. So just really awesome game. Big thanks to all the players. Definitely hope we can do this again sometime. All right, folks. So hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought or what you think of the game. And catch you on the next one. Cheers.